Hi, welcome back. As promised, Nathan Knottingham, the CEO of the McMinnville Area Chamber of Commerce. If you don't know Nathan, you're missing something. Those of you that do know him are probably delighted to be able to hear from him today, and those of you that don't will be delighted that he was here today. He has done so much to bring together our business community in his short time here. And Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
I had you, I don't know, a year and a half ago. You were one of my first guests.
I think it was about a year and a half ago.
And we're overdue.
Yeah, this is great.
Now, you've done some, rethinking, revisioning of the chamber, and you've condensed it down to one 8.5 by 11 sheet that's right here in front of us.
Yeah.
And let's just start, the mission. You've got a mission, a vision, and priorities now.
Absolutely.
I'm curious about the process, but maybe we don't have time to talk about that. How you got down, was it you by yourself?
No.
Folks together?
The board of directors, absolutely. So the process, it really isn't that hard, nor is it laborious. It is just, it's a bit time consuming when you dig in, but the reality is the more simplistic that you can get your message, the more impactful it's going to be.
Okay, I'm ready for the vision statement. I'll
Okay.
just hear all those sentences and paragraphs you came up with.
All the sentences and paragraphs. So it
Yeah.
is. The vision is, our vision is a thriving, sustainable community.
That's it.
That's it.
Thriving,
Sustainable
community.
community.
That's the vision. So we've got that. All right. So to get there, you have a mission statement.
Our
Now,
mission.
that must be longer.
That's not much. It is 2 words longer. Our mission is supporting a strong local economy.
The Chamber's mission is to support a strong local economy.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it. Mission, vision.
Yeah. And you know, they tend to be more memorable that way. They're shorter. It depends on who you read. If there's lots of different leadership books out there about mission and vision. I believe Drucker said you should always be less than 8 words. And we can go about it all sorts of different ways, but the reality is you want an organization like the Chamber to be flexible, to change with the times, to be always thinking forward about what's happening, and not to be pigeonholed too much into one category. So our former mission statement spoke a lot about what we would actually physically do. So networking events and advocacy work and the resources, and we continue to do those. But the core reason we were doing those, the why behind all of it, was to support a strong local economy. We don't build it. The business owners, those that take the investment in our community, they're building the economy. But we are supporting them every step of the way.
And you used a word there that I've heard a lot from you lately, and that is why.
That's right.
Tell me about how you've adopted that into how you think about things.
Yeah, so Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, he came out with this book, I believe it was early 2000s, and the book is entitled Start With Why. It's a wonderful book. He does a great, it was turned on to me the first time through TED Talks. He did a TED Talk and I watched on YouTube. And it literally was, why are some companies better than other companies? Is there something just in their core nature that makes them better? And the whole premise was, those that understand why they're doing what they're doing far outpace those that just do. Lots of examples, but what it really boils down to this. When you know why you are about what you're doing, people want to be with you. We want to follow those that have a clear and influential why. Martin Luther King was a why speaker. Apple is a why product. So why is core. So when we can answer for people that looking at the Chamber going, why is the Chamber here? We get to actually answer and say, we are here to support a strong local economy. We are going to do it through these priorities. Do you want to be a part? It's a compelling question when you answer it that way. And the answer is yes. Yes, we do.
And 400 plus people have said yes. How many members do we have in the Chamber?
Actually, today we just hit 460 members.
Okay.
Which is the largest number of business members we've ever had in the Chamber in our 101 years of operation.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You mentioned priorities. So we've got vision, mission, the priorities. There's only 4 of them.
There are 4.
Well, let's talk about them.
I like to go simplistic. I mean, when you have a checklist that has multiple things all the way down that list, you get lost in the details and you forget to be focused on one thing. It's all about juggling plates. So we looked at 4 things that that the board really felt that we could actually impact or influence in the right way over the next couple of years. And priorities should not be they're not your pillars that you build your business on or your organization on. We have that why. We actually have 2 pillars, our mission and our vision. These are the priorities that we think we can influence the most for our members going forward. So I had to set it up in my mind in an acronym because I remember acronyms better. So I set up PACE, P-A-C-E, large part because I think of coaches and I think of pace cars. You know, pace cars and coaches, they set paces. And if you're going to be the best that you are ever going to be, your goal is to beat the pace that has been set for you by your coach, or to come out in front of that pace car and be the first one out of that. And I really think that the Chamber's doing our job well. We're kind of pushing the pace just farther and farther, and our members, our businesses are just edging and going faster and further than they thought they could. And then we're doing a great job by supporting a strong local economy that way.
Setting a pace, yeah, business is not a place to relax.
It is not a relaxing place, no.
Priority number 1, what have we got?
So our first priority is promoting members. And promoting members really is about, it's one reason that people do join a chamber. When we do our surveys and we ask, why do you join the chamber? The answer is, well, because you are here and we know that you're for the business community. But number 2, we want the understanding that we're here in the business community as well, and that you work to promote us. And we do. We publish a few documents like the business directory, our online directories, and we promote our members that way. Plus, when people ask where should they go stay or who does what, and they call us, which the chamber receives many phone calls a day with those types of questions, there's our members.
I want to give a shout out along those very lines. First of all, promoting members. Every Friday you have greeters, and they meet in a business. It has to be a rather large room because usually about 100 people show up, 100 business owners, and they network with each other. Mm-hmm. Get an opportunity to promote through times and announcements and passing literature around, networking with each other. They can promote what they're up to.
Right.
And then the second part of I get to do that. I'm a handyman, I'm there, I'm Ken Moore handyman, and everybody's acknowledged there, and it's a terrific opportunity. Second piece of what you said, referrals. Yeah, I get emails from the chamber saying, somebody stopped in today and wants a handyman service, here's their number. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, chamber. Hi, I understand you need.
Yeah, that is
so
part of it.
I'm just gonna look at the camera here and say, it's a working. Yeah, join the chamber if that's what you want. All right.
Perfect.
Promoting members, that's the first priority. Second.
Our second is in activating and educating members in public policy. I believe that chambers, for a long time, advocacy was the word that everybody would throw around. They're going to be business advocates. They're going to be advocacy for business issues. Advocacy is a small word that has massive emotional context to it and feelings in the political realm. And when I asked the board, why are we about this? What do we need to do? We actually boiled it down to, we don't want to speak on behalf of all 460 members. You are all individual businesses. You have the inalienable right to have a feeling and a position on everything. Because we are here in America, that's one of our inalienable rights. We love that. So should the chamber stand up and speak on behalf of all businesses all the time? We actually didn't think so. Instead, what we found when talking to our members was they wanted to know more about an issue. They needed to know when that issue was going to be heard in either the capital or local. They want to know where they can get their voice heard. How do they actually take a position or share their thoughts on an issue? So what we moved towards was more of a active role in education and bringing that information to our members right away. Part of that priority system, I received the opportunity to serve on the board of the Oregon State Chamber of Commerce, and as a larger entity, helping the chambers like McMinnville that are the medium to small and all the chambers together, we identified that the elected officials have told lobbyists for some time, great, we understand your position, we understand who you're talking about, we want to hear from small businesses, we want to hear from the people on the street. And the state chamber said, well, how can we do that? How can we facilitate that work? So much of the information that I'm able to gather for our members now, a lot of that's actually funneled through the state chamber. We set legislative policies up there, we funnel that down, and then I send the information to our members. and encourage them, if they have such a feeling or they want to have anything to share on a topic, they should contact the elected official, the appropriate official. After this short session, I'm going to use a royal we, the chamber executives and those with the Oregon State Chamber, we heard from elected officials, and I heard from Senator Boquist specifically. This last year, more voices from business owners and managers locally, what would be considered the grassroots of the business community in Oregon, more voices were heard at the state level than anybody could remember in local time or in a recent time frame.
From McMinnville.
From McMinnville, from the state as a whole. So it was successful all the way across. And I know of a number of members who said, thank you for giving me the information, here's what I'm doing with it. And they were calling and writing and reaching out and sharing their story and what they thought what the impact of a certain bill would be on their business.
All right, we've covered two priorities, promoting
Yep.
and advocating and educating members in public policy. Priority number 3, collaborate in workforce development. So we have a need for a prepared workforce.
Oh, yes, we do.
It's a big need. The chamber, that's a big job that the chamber's going to not take on by itself, but collaborate on.
Right.
Collaborate with who or whom?
With whom? The workforce development, again, these terms when it comes to economic development and it comes to workforce, they're terms and they have impact depending on different industries, and there's an overall influence point. It's just a big nut, and not one entity or one industry is going to be able to crack this thing, or it's a big pie to eat, whatever analogy you want. It's just really big, and it takes a lot of people working on it. So the chamber we identified that one of the greatest ways we can help is by connecting the need. So there are many businesses, even here in McMinnville right now, that have jobs open that are going unfilled. And if you listen to national media, maybe you're thinking, well, there still aren't enough jobs. There are jobs that need to be filled. So we, the chamber, are trying to help identify what those jobs are, working with our partners in town. So the McMinnville Economic Development Partnership, McMinnville Downtown Association, WorkSource Oregon, the Insight, the Youth Opportunity Partnership. We work with those partners to really help identify where are the opportunities from business and who is the workforce that could fill those opportunities. But that also helps us dig into some of the greater or more nitty-gritty pieces of the topic, being with those businesses that have openings and are having a hard time filling them, what is happening? Like they can't have an open sign, now hiring, and not have anybody apply. So why are they having a hard time filling the position? What are some of the obstacles that are coming up? Timeliness, passing drug tests, history, or background checks. I mean, just identifying what those are and then re-communicating that to WorkSource or to other hiring agencies and sharing with them, we are hearing this from our employers. We want you to know too. So that we're all just communicating well and collaborating around the same issue.
Let's just back up to put a button on what you started that with, was that we have jobs that are going unfilled. You've got a number in the state. What is it?
So I encourage the viewers to search this, but the Oregon Employment Department put out in their report for 2015, there were 48,000 jobs unfilled in the state of Oregon. Roughly less than 5% of those jobs were in the minimum wage category. Almost half were in medical fields. So we're talking about good paying jobs, family wage jobs as we might consider those now, in fields with longevity. They're not about jumping around or short timers, or they're not temporary jobs. But 48,000 jobs unfilled. And that's a hard number to understand, especially in our day and age where flexibility and the ability to move from city to city has just, the costs continue to come down, because moving from a town to a town is easier to do now because of vehicles and time. Now there's a social cost to moving that is sometimes hard to overcome, but the jobs are there and they're unfilled at the time.
And in McMinnville.
There are jobs in McMinnville as well.
So I think that's surprising. So workforce development needs to be alive and well right here.
It needs to be alive and well. There's not 48,000 jobs in McMinnville.
No, I
I'll be
understand.
clear on that. It's in
Right.
the state of Oregon.
Right.
But in McMinnville, there are jobs that are still yet to be filled.
All right.
Yep.
Priority number 4, engage the community.
Absolutely. So engaging the community gives us the why behind hosting Turkey Rama barbecue, doing the July 4th celebration, Lemonade Day, which is April 30th this year. It's about engaging the business community with our citizenship, the citizenship understanding who the business community is and what's being produced and what's being done here in McMinnville, which is quite impressive when you actually start learning who these businesses are and what they're doing right in our own backyard. But it also gives us that time to engage the business community with each other. So you mentioned greeters earlier. You know, that's grown from maybe an average of 40 some business people showing up on Friday morning to now averaging close to 100 every week, because they're coming together and they're just saying, we're not alone. We're meeting the others that are doing business in our community with us. They're choosing to do business locally as often as possible, so they're keeping their resources local. And they're just sharing best practices. They're sharing some of the hurdles that they're either experiencing or what they're concerned about. They're sharing how to get around those hurdles. So, and a lot of times they're doing it while standing up, drinking coffee Friday morning at 8 a.m. and getting jazzed about competing for the, going forward for Friday and into the weekend. I think the chambers were really good about stand-up meetings before they became a popular thing in the boardrooms. We just, it's an hour long, and we get to hear from another member who is also working, is also building something and engaging that community. And it's showing positive trends, because I think the more we can help businesses understand they're not alone, that every day when they face whatever struggle or whatever hurdle that they have to face for that day, somebody else is probably facing something similar. And when they have a friend to call and a peer to talk to, it makes it just that much easier to handle.
So when I think of greeters, why do I go to greeters? Well, you covered it there. I'll just put in a few words. It's productive, it's supportive, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's
There's a drawing.
I may steal that one. So
They have cool stuff.
They do,
At
yeah.
the drawing, you put in your business card, and it's surprising. You win often.
It's fun how the businesses like to promote themselves, and they bring something to put in the drawing, and it's just fun to share that with each other.
Yeah. All right, we've gone through the priorities. Now down at the bottom here is the fine print. Influences, trends, and themes. And when I invited you on the show, I said, Nathan, give us an insight on where things are going, what's changing, what should we be looking ahead for, and we've still got 5, 6, 7 minutes, so
Okay.
let's cover that. Just give us the future, please.
Well, I'm just going to look down here and talk. And I think that most of the viewership would probably agree with these. These are kind of maybe considered no-brainers, or if you're paying attention to the news, well, yeah, this is what's being talked about. But it's being talked about because it is an influence, it is a trend, it is something coming down. Communication and technology changes so fast. The iPhone came out in 2006. 2007. Anyway, don't hold me to that one. But let's say about almost a decade ago. Can you imagine the life, like where we are now with that technology? And how did we operate 10 years ago without touchscreen interfaces on our phones? So technology and communication trends are changing so fast, and trying to identify what's the next step, what's the next thing coming out. It usually means, new technology usually means a reduction in cost to businesses, hopefully an overall impact to their marketplace. So we're looking for those. Generational transitions, that's a hot topic. I'll put it this way, I think that the interesting aspect about social media and the generational discovery and that discussion, we might say the generation is different than before, but if you really go back and look, generations have argued about how it goes for decades. What might be more different now is that there are multiple people acting as the singular voice through social media for their generation. So you can be on there, and if something goes viral, meaning it gets shared a few thousand times, all of a sudden that becomes a voice that people are listening to. Well, I read this article that said, it wasn't vetted, nor was it researched or written by anybody. It could have been just an opinion piece, and all of a sudden it becomes a talking point. And so that's a really different change for this generational topic, and we need to be aware of that. And we're starting to see trends of, instead of, well, the millennials will be the millennials, and let's just take them as they are, they're going to be on their cell phones. We're starting to see trends of others coming back and saying, hey, this is the same conversation I had when I was 20. By the way, here's what you need to know. The business world doesn't change that much. Our technology changes. So we have that, collaborating the conversation between our major community organizations. You know, McMinnville is so unique and wonderfully designed now that we have the Chamber of Commerce, McMinnville Economic Development Partnership, the McMinnville Downtown Association, and now Visit McMinnville. Our economic development base has 4 legs on that stool, and talk about the impact and how much more we can take on with that. So we are going to be working our influence, future influence and trends are going to be definitely with those other organizations and doing some great things together. Continued need for employable workforce. We kind of covered that, collaborating in the workforce development. That actually will never change. Workforce needs will always be there. They just may look different. And with technology, they may just have to change. So we're always going to keep our eyes on that. That's going to be a trend and a theme.
Politically challenging
Yes.
environment.
And the last one, I left that one for last because I know that could be we can talk long and deep about this, but politically challenging environment. So Oregon has, in the last few years, passed policies and legislative bills and issues that are politically challenging for businesses in many ways. And it does not boil down to party. It boils down to what makes a political challenging issue is that the business really had very little say in how that's going to be applied to them. So a business owner is going along, doing their business, they're doing great, they're building a great business, and all of a sudden a new law gets passed that has exponential impact on what they were doing. So they were planning ahead, structuring, looking forward, and now they have to provide the next thing. And it makes all their plans and maybe where they thought they were going, a lot of times it disrupts that. And now they have to realign themselves. So they lose time in the planning, they lose time in replanning, and there's assets lost potentially, not always, but potentially lost. So that's what we consider politically challenging, is that in our governmental system, bills and issues can be passed that will affect people that may not have had the time nor the opportunity to speak specifically on that. And if they did speak and weren't listened to or don't feel listened to, now you've got an emotional complexity to that. And so the Chamber wants to help both make awareness, so we're activating and educating on these public policies. And on the flip side, we're on the other side saying, okay, well, this was the bill that was passed. Here's how to better understand how that's going to impact your business and resources to research. And we're here to help walk you through that.
Well, Nathan, I think we got time for one last question. You're up to a lot of stuff, and I'm always impressed with the number of, I'll just say, pies you have your fingers in that. But what are you going to this afternoon? What are you doing tomorrow? What's next week? What's on your mind? What's big?
You know, heading into the summer for this community is about a lot of visitors. We have a lot of people coming in to see what we're all about. So we've got July 4th, the big celebration is going to be happening again at Evergreen Museum in partnership with Evergreen. We have U.S. Bank is going to be the premier sponsor. Willamette Valley Medical Center is our title sponsor. And it's going to be an amazing show. Plus, July 4th is on Monday night. So we anticipate somewhere 7,000 or more people coming to this free event. So that takes up a lot of brain power right now. We're working on that. Rhonda is a great event facilitator. Turkey Rama, of course, we're going to be in our 57th year, I believe. And so we barbecue all the turkey. So that's going to be on the top of my mind for a couple months here.
I plan to be on the street helping sell it. How is that?
Perfect. That'd be great. So get those. We're making some changes in that, trying to make sure it's not as salty as it used to be. So if anybody hears that and they're like, "Wow, it's so salty," don't worry. We've taken that under advisement in many ways.
The customer's always right.
The customer's always right when they demand. So there's a lot of stuff coming, and it's just always about being the best we can be every day.
All right. Well, keep your eyes on the Chamber and keep your eyes on Nathan Knottingham. He is amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot, Ken.